Malik strolled in with his hands in his hoodie pockets, moving slow, unhurried. He had time to kill before meeting a friend for dinner. He wasn't here to buy anything in particular, just browsing. His sneakers squeaked faintly on the polished tile as he wandered toward the phone section. Behind the counter, Todd, a baby-faced clerk in a too-tight polo shirt, noticed him instantly. The way Todd's eyes tracked Malik wasn't subtle. A quick glance, then another, longer one, his lips tightening. Malik picked up one of the display models, turning it over in his hands. The glass screen caught the overhead light as he swiped through a few menus. Nice phone. He set it back on the stand and stepped toward the next one. Todd whispered something to the other clerk beside him. They both looked over. One smirked. The other shrugged like, here we go again. A few minutes later, Malik was comparing two different models when Todd vanished into the stockroom. The crowd noise was steady. A pop song playing low over the speakers, the hum of customers talking. Malik didn't notice the two security guards at first. They came from opposite ends of the aisle, moving in like they'd rehearsed it. Sir, the first one said, a big guy with a shaved head and a too-tight belt. We need to talk to you in the back. Malik blinked. About what? The second guard, younger and leaner, stepped up on his other side. One of our phones is missing from the display. You were the last person seen holding it. A couple of nearby shoppers turned to look. Malik's brow furrowed slightly, but his voice stayed even. You're making a mistake. We'll clear it up in the back, the shaved head one said, already gesturing for him to move. Malik glanced toward the front of the store. His eyes focused on something or someone outside the big glass doors. He gave the faintest nod to himself. But whatever he saw, he didn't say a word about it. Instead, he slipped his hands back into his hoodie pocket and let them escort him toward the rear hallway, past the checkout lanes, past Todd, who was leaning on the counter, smirking like he'd already won. Malik didn't look at him. He didn't need to, because something or someone was already in motion. The hallway to the back office was narrow and dim. Malik walked between the two guards, his pace calm, almost deliberate. Behind them, a couple of shoppers lingered near the phone displays, whispering. Malik caught the faint sound of Todd's voice floating from the counter. Told you he was shady, Todd said to the other clerk. The words didn't sting. Malik had heard versions of them his whole life. What mattered was that Todd thought this was over before it started. Inside the back office, a single desk sat under a buzzing light. The walls were lined with old security monitors, most of them showing grainy black and white feeds from around the store. The big guard shut the door behind them with a heavy click. Empty your pockets, he said. Malik raised an eyebrow. You sure that's what you want to do? The younger guard crossed his arms. We're not playing games. We got a missing phone, and the guy in the hoodie's the one we saw holding it. You're gonna make this easy, or we're gonna call the cops and let them sort it out. Malik's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out just far enough to glance at the screen. A single message sat there. He read it, and the corner of his mouth twitched upward, just for a second. Then he slid the phone back in without replying. Look, Malik said. Why don't you just pull the footage from the last 10 minutes and see for yourself? The big guard scoffed. We'll get to that. But first. No, Malik interrupted, his voice still low and steady. You'll get to that now. The younger guard stepped forward, his tone sharper. You don't get to tell us how to do our job. Sit down and keep your mouth shut until the police get here. Malik didn't move. He stood exactly where he was, hands in his pockets, eyes steady on the monitors behind them. In the silence, the muffled sound of the store filtered back in. Customers talking, carts rolling, the faint hum of the front door opening. Through the narrow sliver of glass in the office door, Malik saw it. A figure in a black leather jacket stepping into the store. The man moved with a quiet authority, scanning the floor as he walked. His eyes passed over displays, over employees, until they landed on the back hallway. Malik's expression shifted. Not relief exactly, but something close. The guards didn't notice. The man in the leather jacket kept coming, his pace unhurried, every step measured. By the time the guards realized someone was heading their way, he was already at the office door. The younger one frowned. "Can we help you?" The man didn't answer. He just reached for the doorknob. Malik didn't look at him. He didn't have to, because he already knew this was the moment everything was about to change. The doorknob turned, and the man in the black leather jacket stepped inside like he owned the air in the room. He didn't glance at the guards, didn't ask permission, just walked in and closed the door behind him. The younger guard's posture stiffened. This is a private." The man flipped open a leather wallet, the gold badge inside catching the harsh fluorescent light. "Marcus Bell, head of corporate loss prevention for the entire chain," he said, his voice steady, low, the kind of tone that made people stop talking. The big guard's mouth went slightly dry. "Oh, Marcus ignored him. His eyes went straight to Malik. "You all right?" Malik gave a small nod. "I'm good." That exchange alone made the guards exchange a quick glance. They know each other? Marcus finally turned his attention on them, his gaze sharp. "So, which one of you geniuses wants to explain why you've got a paying customer in here instead of reviewing footage the second a theft was reported?" The younger guard tried to recover. "We were, following procedure." He matched the description given by. "Given by who?" Marcus cut in. "The sales associate, Todd." Marcus's expression didn't change, but there was something in his eyes now. Something the guards didn't want aimed at them. "Pull the footage," Marcus said. It wasn't a request. The big guard hesitated. "Sir, we were about to." "You were about to waste more of my time," Marcus snapped, stepping closer. "Pull the footage. Now." The younger guard scrambled to the desk, fingers fumbling with the keyboard. The monitors flickered, switching to a replay of the phone section from 15 minutes earlier. Malik stood silent, watching the playback over the guard's shoulder. The video showed Malik picking up the display phone, swiping through it, and putting it back exactly where he found it. Then, and here's where the room got real quiet, Todd walked over a moment later, glanced around, slipped the phone into his own pocket, and walked away. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Run it again." They did. Same result. No ambiguity. Marcus turned slowly toward the guards. "So your description came from the guy who actually took the phone?" The big guard shifted uncomfortably. "We didn't know." "No, you didn't check," Marcus said, his voice colder now. "Instead, you grabbed the first black man in a hoodie you saw and hauled him in here like you'd already closed the case." Neither guard had anything to say to that. Marcus looked at Malik again. "How long were you standing here before I walked in?" Malik shrugged lightly. "Couple minutes. Long enough to let them commit to their story." Marcus let out a humorless chuckle. "Smart." The younger guard finally spoke. "Look, we were just—" "Don't finish that sentence," Marcus warned, cutting him off. "Because whatever you think you were just doing is about to be written up in a formal report, with both of your names on it." The room went still again. Marcus stepped toward the door, then paused and looked back at Malik. "Let's go. We're done here." Malik followed him out, the hallway suddenly feeling much wider. As they passed the sales counter, Todd was mid-sentence with another customer. Marcus stopped in front of him, the kind of stop that makes a man feel smaller without a single word being spoken. "Empty your pockets," Marcus said. Todd tried to play it off with a laugh. "What? You think I—" Marcus didn't blink. "Now." Todd's smirk faltered. He reached into his pocket and slowly pulled out the missing phone, setting it on the counter like it might burn him. Marcus picked it up, turned it over in his hand, then placed it back on the display stand without another word. "You're done here," he said to Todd. "Security will walk you out, and you'll be getting a call from HR, if you're lucky." Todd's face drained of color. Malik didn't say a thing. He just kept walking toward the front door, because he knew the part that really mattered had already happened. The truth was out, and the ones who thought they were in control had just lost it. The store had gone noticeably quieter by the time Malik and Marcus reached the front entrance. Customers pretended to browse, but their eyes kept drifting toward the two men walking side by side. One of the guards trailed a few steps behind, suddenly less sure of himself, while the other stayed back with Todd, who was now pacing in small, nervous circles. Marcus stopped near the customer service desk and turned to the younger guard. "Go get the store manager. Now." A few moments later, a short woman in a navy blazer appeared, her smile tight. "Is there a problem, Mr. Bell?" "Oh, there's more than one," Marcus said flatly. "Your sales associate filed a false theft report. Your security detained an innocent customer without reviewing footage. And now you've got a personnel crisis you didn't even know about." The manager's smile vanished. Marcus gestured toward Malik. This man was accused because he fit somebody's lazy stereotype of what a thief looks like. While the real thief, your employee, was walking free 5 feet away. The manager's eyes darted toward Todd, still standing at the counter with his arms crossed. "Is that true?" she asked weakly. Marcus didn't answer her question. Instead, he pulled a business card from his jacket and placed it on the desk. "Corporate HR will be calling you in the morning. In the meantime, Todd is suspended pending investigation. Both guards are under review, and I strongly suggest you schedule a store-wide policy refresher before you end up in a lawsuit." The manager swallowed hard. "Understood." Malik stood quietly through the entire exchange, hands in his pockets, face unreadable. Marcus turned back to him. "Let's get out of here." As they stepped outside into the cooling evening air, Marcus slowed his pace. "Sorry you had to deal with that," he said. Malik gave a faint shrug. "Didn't need to be sorry. I knew they'd hang themselves the second they refused to check the cameras." Marcus chuckled. "You always did have patience for the long game." Malik smirked. "Patience is easy when you know who's watching." Marcus glanced at him. "You mean me?" Malik shook his head slightly, tilting it toward the row of parked cars across the street. There, behind the tinted windshield of a sleek black sedan, sat a woman in a dark suit, a laptop open in front of her. She raised a hand in a small wave before returning her attention to the screen. Marcus's expression shifted. "Corporate compliance." Malik nodded once. "Looks like you weren't the only one keeping an eye on things today." They walked on in silence, both men knowing the fallout inside that store had only just begun. They stopped beside Marcus's SUV. Malik leaned against the passenger door, hands in his pockets, eyes on the sidewalk. "You could have stepped in sooner," Malik said, not accusing, just stating it. Marcus smirked. "And rob you of the satisfaction?" "Nah. Sometimes the best move is letting people prove exactly who they are on camera." Malik nodded slowly. "Funny how a hoodie can blind folks to everything else." "Yeah," Marcus said, his voice quieter now. "They see what they expect to see. Doesn't occur to them the person they're judging might be the one deciding their future." Across the street, the woman in the dark suit closed her laptop and stepped out of the sedan. She gave Marcus a short nod, then walked away without a word. Malik watched her go. "So what happens next?" Marcus's expression was calm, almost satisfied. "HR will handle the cleanup. But trust me, they'll remember today a lot longer than you will." Malik gave a faint smile. "Good. Maybe next time they'll think twice before writing the story in their heads." Moral: prejudice might start as a thought, a glance, a quiet assumption, but when it turns into action, it can cost more than someone's dignity. Sometimes it costs them everything, especially when the truth is watching from the other side of the glass.